Hello, welcome back to Overclock Showcase. I'm going to bring that a little bit closer. Hello. Anyway, if you watched the end of last episode, you would know that we are on to the second M1000 Overclock, and much to my dismay, we got the second clean Overclock. The upside to this, and of course that Overclock is minimal clips, the upside is we're getting the cleans out of the way, because the M1000 immediately gets more interesting as soon as we get into every other category. I guess, AES isn't the most interesting overclock in the world, but at least it's good. Not that minimal clips isn't, and minimal clips has actually been a really nice experience for me to have to use because it has made me appreciate the 1000 a bit more, which is a good thing, and it's helped a little bit to put in perspective some things about the series as well, which I'll start explaining when I go on, because I don't want to drag this episode out. I definitely want to get into the gameplay because it's not going to be... It's better that I would say it's better for me to be talking while playing more than it is to just be playing and not much talking. Because it's not the most exciting overclock in the world. Minimal clips is of course a clean for the M1000. It gives you increased magazine capacity and a faster reload. The values are 2 magazine size. Actually, it's a percentage bonus. So if we, for example, take extended clip, take it off, goes down to 14. So it's actually, I think that means it's 20%, or 25% actually, 25%, or kind of somewhere in the middle. It's not super clear. But in this case it's 25% because 25% of 8 is 2, and it's minus 0.2 reload time. I didn't realize it was that small of a decrease. It should be probably about at least 0.3, maybe 0.5 seconds. To be honest, that's really small, especially given that the M1000 doesn't have a like normal reload speed overclock. The only thing it has is Killing Machine, which is going to come up in the second build. It's a really basic overclock that I would say doesn't prompt using the weapon either way in particular. Therefore, we have one that's a little bit more focus shot based, one that's a little bit more hipfire based. The hipfire one is not hipfire in the sense of what hipster is like. It's still taking advantage of the fact that we have a high... Our clip is bigger, but also not really, because it's... All I'm really doing with this is acknowledging the fact that minimal clips doesn't really have a bias. If I was using active stability system, for example, obviously neither of those builds are going to be hipfire focused, because all active stability system does is cater to the focus shot. But minimal clips doesn't really cater to either, so I kind of just used... I ended up going down the road of quite generic M1000 builds. Basically, they're kind of what I would end up using if I was forced to use a weapon battle on overclock, in a way. And I ended up going down that road not entirely on purpose, because I kind of did want to use the magazine size. It's like a really obscure, detailed like breakpoint threshold thing. Like what breakpoints do we achieve by having this clip size? Like, does it really drastically change the number of shots that we can kill Praetorian with? And the answer to that was no, basically. It did change the numbers, but it was never drastic enough, and it always came down to really specific things where I'm combining, obviously always the larger clip size to like see what breakpoints we gain by going for the biggest clip possible, but it was always like a mixture between damage, unbreaking, the weak point modifier, whether or not they're frozen even, and whether or not we take, actually some cases, like, do we take the focus shot bonus? It's so much just work for something that, for an overclock that is supposed to be quite uncomplicated. So I realised that I should just go down that route. So what we have, first of all, is just a really generic focus shot build. So it's built for the focus shots to be effective and take care of a lot of different types of targets in not very many shots, but we get our sort of bonus damage really from weak points and from the focus shot, not from taking more damage in tier 1. And I think this works very well for this build. This build, we do want to be able to pick off enemies very easily. Something that doesn't change, that a really sick part of me wished did almost, was focus shots killing grunts. It doesn't change at all. The focus shots are always capable of killing grunts. At the same time, armor can get in the way. So by taking and I think the threshold, the difference is literally 3 damage. Grunts on hazard 5 of 108 health, right? If you don't take this upgrade here, a focus shot does 110 damage, which means there's like literally 3 damage. If you're 3 damage off, if the armor blocks 3 damage, you're not killing the grunt, right? So I think by having armor breaking and this, we guarantee one-shotting grunts every time. And you don't want to be wasting focus shots on grunts if you're taking damage instead of ammo. So that's why I think ammo makes sense here as well. And armor breaking helps us get through stuff like Brundles are a big one that armor breaking feels good against. In fact, Brundles are like a really surprising weakness actually in the second build. Yeah, like focus shot damage in a way here as well, but it's obviously weak point. It's unbiased. It's for either focus or normal shots. And the weak point stun, not weak point stun, focus shot stun. That's why I like this upgrade, because it's not weak point based. It's just focus shots. It's really good. But thankfully, we don't. It's not super needed against certain targets, like Trijaws, for example. We one shot, and I'm not going to make a sweeping claim that it's because of the exact setup I've got here that I can one shot Trijaws, but it might have something to do with both having the weak point and this focus shot damage bonus. I'm not sure. But either way, this is sort of just a generic focus shot build, and I wanted to use double barrel because I knew that. Actually, no, I didn't know for certain that I'd be using the Boltshark in the other build. I knew it would be Cryo, and it is. It's a Cryo build, the next one. But I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew it was going to be one of those two. I knew it was going to be the Zukovs or the Boltshark. So I knew this had to be the Boomstick, and this is my version of using double barrel or crowd clearing. Double barrel does 220 damage by default with the blast wave, which is a lot. It's enough that as long as you hit a guard directly, you can kill a guard in one shot very easily with double barrel, and it kills slashers in one shot as well. Because of how much it increases the blast wave damage by, it actually can kill grunts by default with its 110 very easily, but slashers it can't. So that helps with slashers and also guards if you focus on them. And because it's a crowd clearing double barrel, taking fear instead of white phosphorus, the fear really helps with just crowd control. And it also helps in some cases because I've actually found that as a crowd control tool, as long as you only use it when there's on sort of 3 or more grunts, that's kind of the threshold for needing to use the Boomstick, basically. It's very ammo efficient, and I will often be using it to deal chunk damage to Praetorians and fear them. Although it's not actually great at fearing Praetorians, it's only a 50% fear chance, which is actually quite low for Praetorians, but yeah. But it's a basic double barrel build, so you go all ammo, you take the reload speed, and you take blast wave, obviously, but the biggest difference is here, where you probably normally take white phosphorus because it makes it really good at single target. But yeah. The basic through lines will be Beastmaster in both. Actually, it's kind of the only one, but I guess other things. Most of my perks are the same. I pretty much always use Hover Boots and Beastmaster and Scout. It kind of just evens out his sort of weaker crowd clearing side of things. Although the thing about this M1000, it's not a single target monster or anything like that. It's good at killing HVTs and it's good at killing tanky targets with support from other sources like power attacks and like the shotgun itself, so from the blast wave dealing chunk damage to a Praetorian, for example, like I already explained. But I think it coalesces into something that feels really sort of smooth. And also we do have a little bit more leeway with that increased magazine size, and having to reload isn't as punishing. I mean, it's such a small reload speed buff, but it's still somewhat noticeable, and the stun sweeper helps even out some things as well. It's a bit of a crowd clearer, more so crowd control, helps take care of tiny enemies, or in cases where maybe we don't want to use the overkill that is a double barrel shot. It can take care of a small group of grunts, or like basically any amount of web spitters. You can stun bigger targets and line them up nicely, because while we'll be using this to like stun, for example, a warden, and then it lines up for an easy weak point shot, the stun from the stun sweeper is much longer still. So that's kind of the basic tenets of this build. Something that will be the case for both of these builds, though, is that they don't suit super difficult missions necessarily. So we're going to be doing some fairly basic missions in this episode. But I would say there's no strict limits either. Like, you could probably get away with using, if we think about sort of the harder missions like Escort Duty and Industrial Sabotage, you could definitely use this one on Industrial Sabotage and the other one on Escort Duty, I think, as long as you're willing to ammo dump, I guess. Also, my hair is just really kind of not great at the moment. Far too much haircut. Betsy, now Betsy is not a problem, I don't think. In fact, Betsy's actually great for stun sweepers, believe it or not. Well, of course they are. The boomerang is such a good grenade, but I feel like Betsy's really close by, if I'm not mistaken, or really far away. I'm not even sure I can hear her anymore. I'm just going to take this guy, Steve. That was a pretty simple example of just the stun sweeper's stun capabilities. And we almost two-shot it with the M1000. That walled him. Obviously, if we were using if we had increased damage, we wouldn't need to worry about that. Which is, yeah, it's a little bit, it's something to know, but I'm comfortable with it this way. It does make me wish that active stability system though did have another slight, like very small focus shot damage bonus, like literally like 10% or something, just something like that. I think is earned by it. Oh, yeah. That arm breaking helps with things like that too. Spreaders are a really good target because sometimes you get lucky and it goes straight through the armor and deal most of its damage in one shot. Or even if it doesn't, you can just stun them very easily and then sort of aim up the weak point on the back without even having to position very delicately. It works out quite well, actually. Anyway, I'm recording a little bit later in the day than I would have liked, because I actually got subjected to the meme of like helping your dad with like DIY work. And I'm not done, by the way. I'm going to probably be called back. I'm fine with that because pretty cool. He's building a skate ramp for my sister, and that's in our garden, and I think that's cool. Anyway, but things are going to be pretty barren, so I will. Although I guess we'll probably get the egg that's sitting in. Actually, there isn't really an egg that's sitting in the spawn room. You know what? I might actually do some like from spawn, like egging with Bosco quickly. So I will have basically have Bosco. See, actually, I want to talk about what just happened there, and I'm just gonna have Bosco start basically getting eggs from here. I want to talk about what happened there with the web acid splitter. So I guess if we took the increased focus shot damage, it probably would have one-shot it, but we'd also have less ammo. So I don't know if that evens it out or not, the fact that we have more ammo, so using one extra shot is not a problem. Especially if you're using something like the Zukov zone, your secondary, it'd be much more like ammo efficient finisher sort of built into the build there. Dude. Bit playing. Sometimes I find front swarms to be really awkward if they're like very guard heavy though. Just saw.
Ollie, over here.
Not too worried about this Mactera.
If I had a credit for every
But yeah, like I said, it's kind of, in a lot of ways, it's just a. With this build, you're basically using default M1000. But also, like I said, that's actually been a surprisingly fulfilling experience. Because I've long been very, very dismissive of the M1000 and its strengths. And as time goes on, that is disappearing. I am becoming much more understanding of why people like this weapon. I'm already sort of erring on the side of using more M1000 ammo than the Boomstick. Usually not the case, actually. Fuck. There you go. That's another reason why I'm putting in more ammo, because my aim is so bad. That is actually one of the biggest reasons why we've sort of downplayed in 1000 for a while. Yeah, I think it does favour the mouse basically over the controller, over the joystick. So they really don't want to throw a swarm at me, do they? I have been shooting gunk seeds as well, so there's the clarity. Perfect. These are the exact kind of groups that we want. Look at that. Steve should be fairly competent against the rest of them. Just business. Yeah, but even this is a very okay amount of ammo to be on with everything. It's not like, as you'll notice, something I'm practicing is, or putting in play is not going for more enemies on the Hazard 5 Plus, right? Because also I just realised after what I said last time, chances of the audio being delayed here are probably quite high, which I apologise for. That's the case because I think I had a realisation it might have something to do with how long the capture card's been plugged in, and I've left it very late. So I plugged it in before even starting to add with work. Sometimes with something like Shellback, he won't actually go through the armour in one shot. Be a bit awkward. So I think it's kind of cool that the pickaxe has does actually ignore armour technically. Kind of a neglected facet of it. Why you can just sort of chip away at an oppressor without any trouble. Would like resupply nitra. I still don't really know where Betsy is. Also, I know that this is going to spawn swarm. I'm going to collect a bit of nitra. I'm going to do some off-screen mining. That's been positive using my Orion. Oh, by the way, something I picked up far too recently. I should have clocked this a long time ago, but I've always kind of had the stance that when it comes to Beastmaster, guards are the best one to have as Steve, and
I ain't the one to sort this stuff later.
apologies. I shouldn't do that. It's really unprofessional. And anyway, guard is a very good pick, but I sort of, in making that decision that was going to be my stance on Beastmaster, really neglecting the Slasher. The Slasher can stun enemies. It's just kind of something I didn't really put much thought into. Crap. Yeah. The fear on the Boomstick is pretty inconsistent against Warriors, to be honest. But like I said, I will... Oh yeah, I'm going to go get some nitro, I think. I want to resupply ready because I know I have to get some small. Where's the... How big is this cave? What the hell? That doesn't look right. Far away that is. Isn't a big cave. Whatever. I'm getting ambushed. Hello. These idiots. Didn't know what they're in for. I want to get from Warden. Why am I doing? Why did I do that? Why am I backing him off so blindly? Anyway, I'm going to try and get Bosco to mine out the further egg, I think. Crazy, I still don't know where Betsy is. Guarding the egg, I suppose. This.
No!
Oh shit. It's the egg, so I should be able to quickly get back to the supply pod. This is the opposite of quick.
Like that.
But Bosco, don't get that out too quickly.
Lights up.
Wow.
Swarm spotted. Buckle up. Contact imminent.
Getting more
Good thing I've got
ammo.
resupplier.
Oh yeah. Let there be light.
A dwarf. Someone commented on how good my dwarves look. You're right. Got a lot of time into these guys.
We got the oppressor. Come here.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath.
Go lie down forever.
Stream of incoming enemies is practically eradicated, and you're still alive. Well done.
Oh. You see those guys? This is one of the best things about being someone who really doesn't actually get that much better at video games, in that I can have played this game for 7 years and be practicing with these overclocks for like a whole week while recording these videos and still fuck up in pretty management situations. Hi. There's I swear I used to think that Beastmaster paired the guy's armor. I lied to myself, clearly. Anyway, I will, just for the sake of my insanity, I will do Betsy before doing that core stone. Because I don't mind doing that. Because core stones are a very anomalous encounter, if you know what I mean.
Help me.
Not common, and they involve an enemy type that's only present during them. They don't show up anywhere. The core spawn don't show up anywhere else. Bit road cool.
Get ready. They'll be with you shortly.
Let there be light.
And yeah, I actually, so my philosophy behind choosing my secret secondary is actually a good pick for these videos, because as long as I keep it in mind, I'm basically sort of forcing myself to stay in the mission longer by doing like another secondary objective. I guess that's the very loose rationale.
Done and sweet. Timber.
Right, no stun seeker this time.
Warden down.
Don't need it.
Now kill the rest of them.
think when we first realised they were really working double barrel into a last minute overclock, there was always like, oh, finally, like a way to use the boomstick for crowd clearing. That was the initial assumption, without realising how strong it was going to be for single target. And I after realising how strong it was for single target, I kind of stopped thinking about it as a crowd clearing potential, which is stupid. It is very proficient at both of those things. These two. Anyway, I think I'm in a decent position to splurge a little bit on resupplies. I'm actually going to take a resupply straight to Betsy. And you'll see the boomerang. What I was talking about with the boomerang Betsy immediately, I think. Assuming that I'm right about it, I have a very strong recollection of the boomerang bouncing between both of the parasites. That being nice. Very good for bullets of mercy or conductive bullets on the Zukovs. And the Boltshark, magnetic shafts. Still feel like I have a weird impediment with saying magnetic. Probably don't. Hey ho. We're gonna start the Boomstick. Yeah, which is actually working really nicely. I'm not gonna hit these consistently, right? Betsy moves too like erratically for me. That barrage was very focused on Steve. Fuck it, you might as well start opening that up now. Let's just do it. Pretty confident. Got Betsy now.
Stand back. Supply pod inbound.
Open it up. Quickly. Burning sunshine.
Get to one!
Oh shit! There we go. Good work, everyone. So it's going to be a bit difficult to sort of come up with really unique takeaways about this overclock because it's not just the M1000, so it's good at picking off just individual medium enemies. Really bad against tiny enemies like swarms and shockers, obviously, just because the way it is, so high, low ammo, high damage per shot. But it's just good at picking things off. As in, it's really good at picking things off, what it is, and it's decent against big single targets. And that's kind of what this build plays into specifically. The next build sort of plays into what you can do if you're supporting it a bit more. Now, big targets can definitely be a valid target for the M1000. Whereas in this, I'm not laying into Praetorians and anything stronger with just the M1000. It's not particularly wise. Doesn't really have the output for it. But it does in tandem with other things. Next build is more so about setting things up so that the M1000 is capable of dealing with them by itself. which is makes me realise they're not too different. Kind of just said the same thing there, but I think there's a difference for some reason. Even though they kind of are just objectively different ways of achieving the end result. However, I will probably just go and do some chores now. I don't mean literally, I actually just mean doing the secondary objectives that I volunteered to do by doing a secret secondary. But I will do them nonetheless. So I'll see you probably at extraction. Although I'll get hit with some pressure waves that I might show off. So let's take care of this menace, shall we? It's living up to its name. That was pretty good. Actually, I do really like NIM 1000. Its stun is very good. It's obviously it's you have to focus shot for it, but it's guaranteed, and it's actually a longer stun. I think it's like 3 seconds. I think because most stuns are usually 1.5 seconds, so it's pretty good. Anyway, sorry, busy work time. Sorry, pressure wave time actually. Oh my god, there's 2 of them. Damn, 12 shots is what it takes. Which you can actually get from active stability. Well, that's the thing, you can't really get it. Because you can, but you would be sacrificing damage. So in a way you can't. Or at least it will force you to make... If you want to kill the Praetorian in one clip, you have to do it with more shots. Which is obvious, but it's sort of like even more, if you know what I mean. So you're losing damage and forcing yourself to use more bullets. Basically, if I could have literally one more focus shot in this clip, it would be perfect. But we don't live in an ideal world. But we do live in a world where I've completed the secondary objectives. See? Did it.
In the drop pod, starting the counter. This is it, team. Do us proud.
Ammo taken. Feel much better now.
Oh yeah, to already mention, so I'm still like 2, I guess with this, 3 videos ahead, schedule-wise. But by this point, as in there would have been, this is the 3rd one since podcast. The last podcast. Season 1. Season 1 of Barrel Vision. So yeah, the podcast is on hold until Rockall comes out, basically. Which obviously, you're hearing it for the first time here. I do urge you to watch the podcast. I mean, we don't really explain it particularly briefly, to be fair. But we are stopping sort of main videos, which are the ones that we do together, which means the channel is kind of just me until Rockall comes out. It's going to be, so if I need to reiterate anything, it's that these videos are going to go on for the foreseeable future. No plans of stopping Overclock Showcase. See until the actual end. There is an end point for this series. And news videos. Basically, everything that I did already, every single thing that didn't come out on Saturdays, is still carrying on, if that needed to be said. And so I'm saying it. So you're stuck with me for the time being. Anyway, that was the first build. So now I've got to think about next one being a cryo build. What mission might work with that? Can be contingent on what is rotor. No. Well, actually, that could work. The weird thing is, it's not like robots don't work. We could actually do robots, and we could do dreadnoughts. But I'm going to do this. I swear I'd already got the WM 5.4.
Not bad.
It's not.
Not bad.
Anyway, so build number 2, like I said, it's a cryo build. I did take a slightly different approach to it than I normally do, with the actual cryo die. Get to that, but M1000 itself. Wow, look at that. The M1000 itself, damage in tier 1. Now, what that actually, this actually does change a significant breakpoint. This means you can actually kill frozen slashers with one shot. Because this is the hipfire one, by the way. It's one normal shot can one shot frozen slashers. Slashers have about 170 something health, I think. And 55 times 3 is 165. It's actually it's just short of the slashers' health. 65 times 3, however, is 195. More than enough to do it. Also, because it's hipfire build, we're taking better weight balance. This is for hip shot accuracy and stability. Armor breaking, I have found myself almost wanting, and I am a tad tempted by it, but it's too late to change now. And it's only really because of Brundles. Everything else is kind of fine. Extended clip, although there are other things. Shellbacks, also a bit of a problem. I think it'll be alright. Extended clip, because it's the extended clip one. It's mainly because we're not really using the focus shots. I don't usually end up using up the entire clip. It's very rare that I do. But in this case, it's also a little bit more of an ammo play. I mean, it's 8 shots, which is actually a decent amount. It brings us up to, what is that? 114, right? Yeah, 114, as opposed to 106. Or even without that, it's like 104. So it's overall 10 more shots. Yeah, of course it is. I guess if you didn't take this or this overclock. Blow through, obviously. They're frozen. They don't have weak points. And Killing Machine, because it's a hip-fire one. Kind of. Killing Machine works in any context, but the other two are very weak point biased, so Killing Machine just works. But our freezing tool, and this is why there's an argument for the armor breaking. Our freezing tool is not entirely devoted to freezing. It's devoted to both applying explosive chemicals and freezing enemies. Both things done separately. The cryo bolts are for single targets in this case, like entirely. In fact, I'm going to make a ballsy decision here. But like I said, you kind of take care of the frozen stuff very quickly anyway. But I think we'll probably be fine without the accuracy. This is going to help against in the other cases, because we're very often going to be grunt hordes. We're often going to be poisoning them with the poison dart and then shooting that grunt. Because they'll be stunned for a moment and probably end up being engulfed by the horde. We won't be able to shoot them and very effectively kill them. And the blow through kind of takes care of that. But the arm breaking will help as well, and it will help. Like I already said, Brundles are a bit of a problem, and so are shellbacks. And I think it's just going to be a bit smoother with arm breaking. It's very late. I did not want to make a change this late, but I am. Anyway, so like I talked about, this is very much those split Boltshark. Normally my Cryo Boltshark would be more like normal ammo, so more Cryo Bolts, but I've gone for expanded special quiver because this is our crowd clearing. The Cryo Bolts are single target. You know, some really nice breakpoints, like 1 bolt for Predators, Wardens, Singtails, 2 bolts for Praetorians. I think it's 1 bolt and a cryo grenade for an oppressor, or it might be 2, I'm not sure. But these things kind of all just work out really nicely. And the cryo grenades do offset that. We use cryo grenades for big swarms of Macteras, and for breeders. So 2 bolts and a cryo grenade will kill a breeder very easily. Obviously, we lament the day that we used to go to one-shot breeders with cryo grenades. But alas, it's over. Stabilizing arm brace is not actually what you want. I'm going to change it. Actually, no, I'm not. I lied. No, so the reason why you should do want that is not to swap. Because I always think of stabilizing arm brace when it comes to like swapping between them for comboing bolts together. Because we want the opposite of that. We don't want to combo bolts because you actually can't get the explosion from the chemical bolt on a frozen enemy. So you don't actually combo them. But this is more so for when we need to shoot more than 1 cryo bolt at an enemy. So Praetorians, we can do it very quickly. And I generally find myself not really needing increased velocity. Radio transmitter module though, because we're not really going to be killing things with direct damage, and this helps us retrieve chemical bolts. The cryo bolts can't be retrieved, which I think is fine. I think there are ways they could have addressed that, like you can make it so that it doesn't actually activate until an enemy comes in like its radius, and then you can retrieve it before it activates, but whatever. And potent special bolts, obviously. And that's the cryo build. Once again, still got Steve, and this is especially relevant and makes actually, you don't need the slasher as much. Obviously the slasher helps because he does more damage, but so that works. But slasher isn't as essential but Steve benefits from cryo. I think. I'm actually not 100% sure about that, but I think he does. So yeah. Anyway, let's get on with this. Sure, father is waiting. Good thing about deep scans, they usually have manic starts. That should work. But there are a couple of things that this really does well. I remember noticing brood nexuses or something like that, where I don't know if this can be achieved without taking the damage in tier 1, I'm not sure, but a frozen brood nexus literally one-shot the eyes, which means you can two-shot the brood nexus, I think. It's really strong, actually. Also, not that I didn't know about it, but I often neglect to notice that they have the information in drop pod like this. Kind of cool. Also, that is one of the only cases of being able to put your weapon inside a part of the game. Usually the weapons stay floating on the surface. Oh no, oh, it's actually an M1000 thing. I'm just stupid. Right, watch this. Fucking drop pod. Anyway, sorry. Also, I am already missing the recoil thing, but I think we'll be alright. But what that was is something I haven't had to think about in a very long time. Which is the fact that wardens, which is a menace. I know it's a menace. But menaces, they're far more likely to run away when you hit them. So you can actually freeze them without like aggroing them, basically, by putting the cryobolt next to them, which I think is honestly kind of funny. That's explosive bolts in play. That's a very basic use of them. I hope I'm right in thinking that's enough for the Stingtail. Obviously it takes a while, but I think it will freeze it. There we go. I will probably take that cryo bolts for your job. Because tiny enemies are a weakness of this still. You think they'd be pretty good for this, but they're not. Cryobots are actually really not that good against swarmers. They're better than a lot of other options. I can say that. But firebolts are far better. Firebolts are really good against swarms. Cryobolts are not, and I don't really know why, to be honest. I don't know what the core difference is there that makes one so much better than the other, but I've observed it, and it's very real. Anyway. Something I have observed about both of these builds, they kind of, I kind of subconsciously constructed them around my really sort of preferred way of having a build, which is that they just have really nice, like, sort of neat synergies where you can combo everything in a very particular way that feels good to take out a horde or a couple specific enemies in this very particular fashion. But there's a cave leech. Which, okay, I guess we could focus shot it. Focus shotting would make more sense there. In a one shot. You know, I'm actually do a really quick. I apologise for this. I'm going to do a really quick research. Because I don't actually have it to like know by heart how much health the cave leech has. Ah, it's 120. And I think I do remember actually. Typically, if you don't take the damage on in tier 1, it is going to take 3 shots. So yeah, we do change the cave leech breakpoint with this, and that's got nothing to do with cryo either. That's just the M1000 thing. Anyway, I would like to get the Steve as soon as possible, but I think I'd rather it not be a base grunt in this case. By the way, it's a weird thing that more enemies changes actually. If you put more enemies on Hazard 5 plus, you actually get it kind of what it does add more enemies, but it also expands the capacity for particular enemy types, which means you can get more veteran enemies. And in the case of grunts, that means there will be more slashers and guards. That is a very, very rough way of saying that one. The actual sort of enemy like spawn pool system is actually very intricate, and Lazy Maybe's covered it quite well. I think it was his most recent video where he kind of... It wasn't the point of the video, but it definitely went into it quite a bit. I'm just going to cry read this one.
How's that for spitting, you freak?
This one, poison. It might end up killing that other one. But yeah, Bosco can take care of them. West bit is pretty easy. Nice. I didn't play that super well. Come on, buddy. Go on, freeze. You can do it. Thank you.
Hey, Stingtail, if you need a new one, maybe visit the retail store.
Whoa! Fuck! I'm not letting that slide. I don't know why that happened. Cryobolt didn't actually freeze the Stingtail. Not normal. I think I have seen that before though, but it's like I literally can't rationalize it at all. Because if it can do it, then why would it not do it 100% of the time? Actually, there is something, because I know that fire, when fire is actually applied to an enemy and they're burning and taking damage, it actually does use randomized values. Don't know if there's something to say about like when these effects are actually ticking up to being active, and it sort of uses like a randomized value, how much cold it applies each tick. That's my only possible explanation for that. It would work as an explanation. I wouldn't like it, but it would be valid. Let's just get Steve. The film with ammo being a little bit less expansive than the previous build, but we're using up more a bit quicker. Also, not having taking the arm breaking actually means I can sort of even got things like guards are more justifiable to shoot without freezing them first, because I would normally want to freeze them first because I'm gonna do so little damage with normal shots. But in that case, I felt fine doing it.
First part of the deep scan is going. On to the next crystal.
Oh, sorry, Bosco, get that. But I think you're definitely seeing the single target use. Aside from that anomaly of the what do you call it? Stingtail. It's still working very well for like a single cryobolt for a priority target, or a couple for the sort of tanky targets, and then we can just sort of take them down so easily. It's a very cohesive build. It's something that exists outside of minimal clips, obviously, but at the same time, not in this exact precise way. You could use active stability system, but that would be a focus shot version basically of this, and then hipster would be just a bit different. Basically, it's kind of me saying you don't have to use hipster. What I have never actually done though is gone down the route of using Marked for Death and Cryo, but see, that's going to take a while. Maybe when I get round to doing the Cryo bolts video specifically, but I never thought about that. It's putting a lead to some pretty crazy damage actually. So I'll keep that in mind for the far future when I get to Cryo bolts. Wait, no. The first the Boltshark one was the specialist, wasn't it? almost got worried there thinking I'd already done Cryobolt. I mean, I've done them build showcases that are kind of focused on Cryobolts, for sure. But I haven't done the actual Overclock showcase yet. It will be some time. And I did mention up top about some of the things that in practicing for this video, I sort of thought about the series. And I did actually realise at some point that this series has an end game that I didn't actually consider. But I should have done. Like, it feels like it's obvious. This entire... I didn't realise that when it comes down to it, this entire thing, this series is going to take me like 3 years to finish. It's all leading up to a tier list. Right? I mean, it's obvious when I think about it. Also, we've done them before. We've done the Overclock tier list. We've done our own ones, like, individually. We've done, like, viability tables for, like, how... like, a viability rating for, like, every Overclock. Well, in that case, it was every upgrade. Well, but what that will be is a true... When I finally finish this series, I'll be able to create something that's a true testament to what is very sincerely, objectively, like, the ultimate solo tier list, because that's what it have to be. Like, I've been doing these videos so purely solo. That will be the nature of the tier list. It'd be like, I spent a week playing with every single Overclock, with the ultimate solo tier list, basically, something like that. I'd rather come up with a better title, but I've got a while to think about it. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't realise sooner that that's kind of what this is. That's really what this is building up to. It will be the most sort of thoroughly, yeah, it will technically be the most thoroughly researched Overclock tier list anyone's ever done, as far as I know. It's kind of cool. I'm not going to cryo this. If I did, I would have used a grenade for it, I think. A little bit weird, actually. That didn't feel quite right. But yeah, that is the end game of this series. It will be a really interesting video when the time comes. I don't know if it would end up being, I'll sort of be quick about it in my ratings, or I would actually dwell on them, but it'll be interesting, because this is going to give me such a deep understanding of every single Overclock. Even if I don't use them all for the same amount of time, it's even just going to be in the relationship between them, because obviously I end up using multiple Overclocks, at least 3 different ones when it comes to practicing. And there have been some cases where I've used Overclocks on the of the other weapon, right, that I wouldn't normally, like, commonly use. I can't think of examples off the top of my head, to be honest. But I know I've used Overclocks that, like, I wouldn't normally use this, and it's not even the one that I'm being, like, you know, forced to use by the video. And even then, I often go through iterations, so I probably do end up using more than 3 in most cases when practicing. So this whole series is leading to a very, very thorough, like, sort of impression of every Overclock in the game. And I think Overclocks will, no matter how, like, much the proc dips in terms of popularity, Overclocks will always be a prominent part of what the active community cares about. So I think I'll feel very good making that video when the time comes. And things will look different with Deep Rock, I mean, by that point, and kind of assuming that there'll be those new secondary weapon Overclocks will obviously be part of it. But the video will only happen once that's happened. And this looks like a mess. Anyway, here's something interesting. Actually, that wasn't interesting to talk about. It's just something I've done before, which is actually kind of setting the bugs up, like with explosive bolts, while they're frozen. Obviously, waiting for them to actually become unfrozen and actually hit the warden advantage. So that wasn't good, because I wanted to show that you can kill a warden with a cryo bolt, like, really easily, and I can do it very cleanly there. I mean, I technically did do it, but not in the way I really wanted to show you.
Resonance crystal here. Let's get the resonance scanner. Resupply arrived. Go restock. Getting more ammo.
They're here.
I needed that.
Oh wow, it's Attack of the Swarmers, isn't it? It's me. which is bad. I don't want swarmers.
No more stingtail.
Oh, now that's over. That being hopefully the end of the garden work. Let's focus on this. And if my theory is correct about what was causing the audio delays, is right, then I apologise because I imagine this actually has one. So I do apologise. But I swear I'm very nearly off the hook in terms of like university. So I actually will have the time to focus on things like that. Not that I plan on fully converting to full-time YouTube. I don't at all. I actually plan on getting a job, believe it or not. But there will definitely be a period where I'm going to have time to think about stuff like that. Or a time where I won't have much else to think about, I should say. So I'm running for both resonance crystals. I think it's guiding me towards one that is actually close by. It's not this one. This one's already... Yeah, okay, good. Because I wouldn't mind wrapping this up. It's kind of been stretched out across the day more than it should have been. I should say though, I should clarify something I said earlier about like that eventual tier list and how it's like gonna be like, oh, I played with every overclock for a week or something. Because like I also said at the beginning of the video, I'm quite ahead of schedule still. And the reason why I'm ahead of schedule is because I went through a period where I was finding myself capable of doing recording 2 of these a week. So that does invalidate what I was saying for a couple overclocks, about half a dozen, probably a bit less actually, maybe about 4 overclocks. That kind of invalidates why I didn't use it quite so long. But then again, I've used a lot of overclocks for far longer than a week, you know, most of them in fact. So I don't feel too bad about that, but I think it just makes more sense to sit on these overclocks for longer. So this is one that I really could have recorded earlier, especially with getting my scout to level 25. I'm sort of want to do a, you know, promotion. But also, like, I can just take the time, you know, still do a... I'm going to sit away from that. I saw it coming, obviously, but also I can take the time. I can do a mission per day, even though I feel like I'm already kind of got this overclock figured out. Also, Bosco should have been able to manage that one. He should have... That was embarrassing. Poor show on Bosco's part.
Thanks, Bosco.
Anyway, let's get a move on.
Let's plug this scanner into the crystal.
Well, since this is done, there won't be any more swarms. So I think I will take an arbitrary resupply. Actually, not that arbitrary. I'm missing a bit of ammo on both bolt types. So oh, it's also back this way, so that works very well. So yeah, let's get on with it. Probably don't really need to cut anything now till the end of the video.
Ammo taken.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is it. Check your ammo before
What's the time? It's 10 to 7, like in the evening. So it's 8:49, 8:50 p.m. 6:50. I read the 18. That's 8. 6:50 p.m.
Activating drill elevator.
Still planning on going for a run because I built like that. Oh yeah, and you remember also to thank our members. Oh, I guess well, the one member still. I should still say something about that. Definitely not going to be promoting memberships for a while. Can't justify it. Not going to get rid of them. I mean, the one guy we got, Boxful Scoot, thank you as always, kind of joined as a joke and hasn't basically cancelled his membership, but we're not going to stop him. Wow. Oh, that did hit. Why have a Steve at the moment?
hang tight while the drill elevator breaks through.
Now. Can I hit that guy? I don't have Steve. Good. But it's easily remediable. Maybe.
Overheat. Get the drill going or you're toast.
I mean, I know deep down there are very few scout builds that are good for deep scan.
The drill has jammed. Get it fixed.
So I'm not surprised that this is going amazing.
These bugs don't stand a chance against us. I ordered a resupply.
We'll see if that pans out. I only did that because I know I have enough for 2. I probably won't end up using that resupply though.
Time to restock.
Got a jam in the drill. Fix it up. Post haste.
I just felt my controller vibrations disappear.
Hang in there, miners.
Still going a bit better than expected, to be honest. And we actually made it to the free fall, so
Saved by a machine, how humiliating.
success really. Because I'll be able to fight them just fine from here. Get on with it. Especially with my controller batteries deteriorating.
Supply
And mental
drop
batteries.
ordered is on the way.
Flares recharging.
This is Firebolt's trying to take care of swords. And they can. They do it. They do it. Not that they don't work. There you go, there's the actual notification. So, do you ever think about the fact that these basically Ebo nuts that come loose when you break them open? Because of course they kind of look like they could be heavy objects at first, but they're also not. Pick them up and then go in your inventory.
Lighting! From A to D, skipping B and C.
We're good on Morkite seeds. Well done. Extraction jet boots have been released on the drill-elevator. Use them to get out of the geode.
Anyway, I think
We need these
I think this is
to
kind
get
of
out the geode.
it for the video, really. So I might as well just start talking about the overclock again. Good overclock, really, in a general sense, because I think this and hoverclock operate in quite a comfortable position where they
Minus 5 minutes.
highlight how good the base M1000 is, while still doing a couple of different things. Yeah, the hoverclock obviously adds a fairly unique mechanic, but doesn't really do anything to the base weapon. While minimal clips, this overclock serves to alleviate some things that it has, which is sort of like a longish reload time, not the biggest magazine capacity, but it doesn't truly change the weapon either. Like even something like active stability system, which doesn't really bring many changes, still increases the reload time and places heavy emphasis on focus shots that the weapon doesn't inherently have. So minimal clips kind of just serves to be like, hey, you know, it's okay to use the M1000 in no particular way. We'll just make it a little bit easier for you. Kind of minimal clips. As in, it would be a bad overclock if the base M1000 had no value, but I think it does.
4 minutes.
It's got certain strengths. Some of them I can't really tap into, as you're just seeing there. It's definitely got strengths, and in my opinion, pretty decent overclock pull. And that will in the end be the biggest thing about this series that I've taken away from just doing it, is that most overclocks have some value.
Extraction
I think the only one I've encountered that truly has none. There actually been two that I can really put in that. The chain hit comes to mind. But there was one that I said was like clean to the point of stale but sensible. A couple things, sensible but stale. I think that's fine. Clean to the point of useless was something, and that wouldn't have been chain hit. Not sure what it was though. It's a horrible feeling though that next time might be one of those overclocks because it's about that time. So of course, if you enjoyed this episode of Overclock Showcase, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see more stuff like this and you want to stay until everything to do with Deep Rock and Rogue Core, because those things I've just described there are all we're doing for a while, then please hit the bell as well. And as always, thank you to our wonderful member, Box Fox Scoot. And now it's time to find out what next week's Overclock will be. We are back to Stubby. And Stubby, so here's how this works if you haven't seen this before. We number the overclocks on the weapon from left to right, top to bottom. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've actually already done a couple of these. I've already done microconductor add-on and high-powered assembly for obvious reasons, because they're like the new overclocks, right? And I did put microconductor add-on in there, basically, even though it's a rework. And we've done lightweight rounds as well, which leaves us with turret aim discharge, well-oiled machine, in refire booster, and super sim rounds. So yeah, a real luck of the draw, 50-50 on whether or not it's going to be fun. You know, or more so 50-50 on whether or not going to be standard with another boring clean overclock for a week. But yeah, and now we get to spin the wheel of fate. There he is, favorite stick assassin. Okay, so if you're paying attention, 3 is well-oiled machine, which is basically even refire booster but toned down. Which, okay, who's best suited for me to sort of switch to that rep? Not you for sure. I have to stay the way you are. I guess this guy. This is the best one, isn't it? Well-oiled machine next week. Anyway, now on, what's the best overclock for a minimal clips M1000? Not overclock, best drink. I think I already know the answer.
Bang your heads with this. Bartender, I need a round of oily oafs, ice cold and
Oily oafs, they look so delicious.
minus the lowest and the hot.
You know, you're not being paid by the hour. Get to work.
Oh yeah.
Gotta be careful with them, like saluting in any kind of way at the moment. I feel like. Anyway, see you next time.